Hello, everybody. John Emmett saying, hi, Fozy. Peter Taylor in New York City. Michael Frank. Bravo Zulu, 11th hour. Woohoo. Yep, indeed, Michael Frank. Pedro Falling Sailor. Sorry I'm late. No, you're just 30 seconds late, Peter. Good evening from Denmark. Gordon Smith. Same to you. James Frederick Bland. Calling Noah versus Noah. Yeah, okay. It's raining down in Austin, Texas. They're going to have a horrible rainstorm down there. It's already happening. Hello from SoCal, Tier de Jong says. And welcome to all of you for today's show number 617. Julia, we're live from Studio B, as usual. I trust you're well.
I am.
You're all yellow today. Why are you in yellow?
Because I'm celebrating the victory of the Warriors to come tonight.
Well, let's hope they're right up against it again, against the L.A. Lakers. Those of you in SoCal will be probably cheering for the Lakers. We're going to be cheering for our beloved Warriors, who are in Game 6. They got to win it. Yep. Otherwise, they're out, but we shall see. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Tom Eamon. Of course, my co-host and esteemed coordinating producer, Commodore the Balboa of the Beach Street Yacht Club. It's opening weekend at Balboa.
Yeah, I saw
Balboa on my mind this weekend. Thanks for joining us. Show 617. Start right out with this day in history. The 12th of May, we got a couple this days in history. First one that's a little light and frivolous, and one that's pretty serious. Do you know, Julia, what happened on this day in history, 12th of May, 1965? 65. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. Here's your first clue. Mm-hmm. Anybody know? Christopher Gillingham's checking in. Ted Ryman from Cape Town. Gillingham's Christopher and Jane, arrived. Christopher and Jane are in Leamington, in England, as usual. Mary Jude Szymanski in Philadelphia. Hi, Mary Jude.
Hello, Mary Jude.
Yeah, I'll sing it. Da 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 da. That's your clue. That's a musical clue, Julie. Right. Any idea? Here's another clue. Let's see who gets it. Anybody got it? There's another clue, Julia. You know who that is?
Not unless it's Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran's a kid. This is an old guy.
Yeah.
Rolling Stones, Ted Ryman's got that. But what happened, Ted Ryman, on this day? Fog Machine's got it. Oh, man, they're chiming in now. Satisfaction. No satisfaction, Rick Banner. I can't get no satisfaction. Right. James Frederick Bland saying, I'm not satisfied. Groover's got it. Everybody got it. It's one of the most famous guitar riffs in rock and roll in the history of the world. Keith Richards apparently dreamt that. Apparently he was, Keith Richards he still is. He's alive and kicking, but he likes to, shall we say, use recreational substances.
Yeah.
And apparently he woke up in the middle of the night, dreamt this thing, had a recorder next to his bed, played it or sang it or something. And then when he woke up the next morning, didn't remember having recorded it or sung it, whatever he did with this riff.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. And all he heard was that, and then 40 minutes of snoring afterward. I'm not kidding. According to Rolling Stone and the magazine and any number of others. So, yeah, that is Satisfaction, or I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Satisfaction was recorded on this date, 12th of May, 1965 at RCA Studios in Hollywood. And that is this day in history. He was driving in his car and a man came on the radio, Fog Machine, telling him how his wife, that was the second verse. Day of Satisfaction. But did you know?
No.
Did you know he's a sailor? Keith Richards, this is according to Rolling Stone and a number of other sources I checked this morning, his wildest escapades, 19 insane tales from a legendary life, one of which is he moved to, I think Westport is it, in Connecticut, to the surprise of everybody, moved out of Manhattan, moved to Westport, Connecticut, where he has, among other things, a nice house, a nice wife, dogs, and he goes sailing on a nice day, according to
how lovely.
Rolling Stone magazine. A pirate of Weston. He moved out there in 91 after decades of sex, drugs, and rock. Oh, it doesn't say that. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, arrests, and legendary insanity. The only way left for Richards to truly shock people was to settle down. And in 91, that's exactly what he did, moving with his wife, Patty, and their 2 young daughters from Manhattan to leafy Weston, Connecticut, Connecticut's Gold Coast, North Shore of Long Island Sound. Quote, the woods have a primeval serenity about them that would suit the ancestral spirits, he says in Life magazine, going on to write at length about enjoying his private surroundings and large library. In 02, he gave Rolling Stone an account of his gentlemanly country life. Quote, I'd get up at 7 in the morning, he said. I read a lot. I might have a little sail around Long Island Sound if the weather is all right. I do a lot of recording in my basement, writing songs, keeping up to speed. I have no fixed routine. I wander about the house waiting for the maids to clean the kitchen and then F it all up again and do some frying. Patty and I go out once a week, and if there's something on in town, I'll take the old lady out for dinner with a bunch of flowers and get the rewards. What do you suppose the rewards are, Julia?
Oh, a kiss on the cheek.
A kiss on the cheek. He's a sailor. And here's another shot. I didn't know this. Some of you probably knew this. On the left is Anita Pallenberg, who was described as the muse of the Rolling Stones. She started out with the founder of the band, producer, and then drifted over to Mr. Richards, with whom he was married. She died now. And that's one of their 3 kids, Marlon Richards, there on the foredeck, or on the deck. Keith Richards with his back to us. And guess who?
Aha!
Mick Jagger.
Wow.
He's also a sailor. Who would have known? Apparently a bit of a sailor, and he's pictured here. I think that's in your favorite state, Julia.
Uh-huh.
He's sailing out in Hawaii and doing some things, but I can't get no satisfaction, 'cause I try and I try and I try and I try, I can't get no da-da-da. Okay, but famous riff. Everybody, as soon as I sang that riff, everybody got it.
Yes.
Did you know that Smoke on the Water, Stingray sang 1973 is Beethoven's 5th in reverse? No, it's not. If it is, it's coincidental, right, Stingray? Huh? Smoke on the water, fire in the night in Geneva. No, in out in the jazz center on the east end of Lake Geneva, Montreux. That's where there was something caught on fire, and they wrote that song. Must have been a weird dream about two hump camels. Pedro Fontaine. He's a pirate, and do you know that Keith Richards played a pirate? He was Johnny Depp's father in one of those.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean movies. The first one, the second one. I did not know that.
I did not know that.
Yeah, there's question, Bill Wingrove, whether he wrote that in a hotel in Clearwater or one of his other hotels, or homes. But what a deal! Okay.
He is a pirate.
He is a pirate. So much for all that, and Mick Jagger and Sailor, and now we get on to a little bit more serious matter, because it was this week in history, and it was actually the 8th of May earlier this week, here in San Francisco in 2013. You'll have seen in the show notes, no doubt, the tragic death of British Olympic sailor Bart Simpson, Andrew Simpson, known as Bart, because he was just such a cool guy, nice guy, killed in that capsize of the Artemis AC-72 on the 8th of May. It's hard to believe.
Oh, yeah.
Julia, it's been 10 years.
Yeah.
And John Emmett's going to talk about that, too, in his report today. But have a look at Kayard giving the presser that afternoon after this tragic capsize and death.
We obviously had a tragic day today on the bay, and our thoughts and prayers are with Andrew Simpson's family, his wife and kids, and also with the rest of the teammates. It's a shocking experience to go through.
You know, it's a tragic day. This is someone that's very well known and well regarded as an expert racer, and everyone worked really hard to not have this outcome. These are always difficult things to report, and our hearts go out to the family of the member of the racing team from the Artemis.
So the boat itself's under control, but it's certainly not the first of our concerns. We're focused on the people, and so that's what we're working with and on, and we'll give you more information when we are able to.
Paul Caird, of course, who was then the CEO of Artemis Racing. You remember who the COO was? Bob Billingham.
Oh, yeah.
Paul had hired Buddha. It was a tough period for all of us, everybody involved with the Cup, to say nothing of Bart and his family and everyone, in particular in the UK, who loved him and knew him. He was just a peach of a guy and a hell of a good sailor. There was a big question about whether we were going to, even rumor was we were going to cancel the Cup. And of course, there were some safety regulations put into place. And you remember, Julia, you were there, this press conference, when the first press conference was held, and the people who were speaking, not myself, not Ian Murray, at that press conference, got it all mucked up. And we were, Larry Ellison called me and back into action and said, you go front this up, express our deep concerns.
Right.
And say the Cup is going on. That's what Bart would have wanted. And Ian and I did that on the 14th of May, held a joint press conference. And Ian then led this, as the regatta director, led the group to go through all the increased safety specifications. This is where the air, a whole lot of stuff came in as a result that's made all the racing since.
On every boat.
On all these boats, much safer.
Yeah.
That's a good point. So the other thing, there's been a lot of good that came out of it. Because after his tragic death, of course, he was a two-time medalist. He won a gold in Beijing and then a silver in, 2012. He's an English sailor, of course, who won a gold at the 2008 Summer Olympics as crew for Ian Percy in the Star, representing Great Britain. He died in the capsize of that catamaran in 2013. While training for the America's Cup here in San Francisco Bay. He, of course, had been already awarded the OBE. And
it's a great picture. I haven't seen that before.
I haven't either. I just found that this morning, and it's a terrific picture of him. And the Andrew Simpson Foundation was founded by Ben Ainslie and Ian Percy and others. It's a registered charity in England and Wales. It was founded, obviously, in the memory of and inspired by Bart Simpson. The ASF was established in 2013. By Ben and Ian and Ian's wife, Leah. The ASF's mission is to transform lives through sailing. We've used that expression before on this show. Each year it gives thousands, thanks to the foundation, it gives thousands of young people the opportunity to get out on the water and experience the joys and challenges of sailing and water sports. The Andrew Simpson Foundation operates 4, count them, 4 not-for-profit centers in the UK, Portland, Portsmouth, and Reading and Birmingham. The charity also runs a center, I did not know this, in Lake Garda in Italy, Italia, and supports sailing initiatives in Africa and in the Caribbean and the Turks and Caicos. Bart's Bash, which is also as a result of all this tragedy and another positive turn of events, is a fundraising event organized by the foundation in memory of Bart. Launched in 2014, it is the world's largest sailing event. Its main aims to increase international awareness of sailing and to raise funds for supporting sustainable projects and improving the lives of children. The first Bart's Bash inspired over 700 sailing clubs from more than 60 countries to organize individual Bart's Bash races at their locations. And in January of 2015, Bart's Bash was awarded a Guinness World Record for staging the largest sailing race in 24 hours. We said here, Julie, on this show, we were going to do similar. Whenever that happens, we'll celebrate it here and see what we can do to help.
An astounding amount of money has been raised by that group.
Exactly, and is every year.
Yes.
Okay, here's the video. I think I've played this once before, but it's well worth playing again. Have a listen and look.
I look at kids growing up nowadays and there's so many opportunities to do so many different things, but the easiest thing is to do nothing and get sucked into that screen generation.
It's good for exercising yourself and overcoming your fears.
learning so many things and working within a group to make young people come out of themselves and have a really, really fun day.
And you've got this feeling of power and confidence and something that you can master.
Actually, you're not far off now.
3 years ago, Alfie was a different person. His behaviour was bad. He had got himself into lots of trouble. He'd been bullied. His self-belief was so low.
It makes me feel like I'm a new person. Other people see my actual other side of me.
Give them an aspiration on other ideas that they could do in life, not just the normal jobs that we tend to give young people.
Coming here for him has been one of the biggest changes that I've seen in a student. His whole attitude to school has changed, and he's even thinking of a career in the Navy now.
Personally, I can't say thank you enough.
You really have to bond quite quickly as a team, so they have to learn their team working skills to work together. Being on the water, learning about the wind, the waves, the sea, it's really good for them. So we're hoping by giving students more opportunities on the water that they'll have a bit more of a chance to apply for those jobs.
You know, when you quickly and visibly see what taking a child on the water can do to their life, you see them change in front of your eyes. I think it changes something in us as well and makes us feel part of something, but also just get a real sense of satisfaction of knowing that you've changed the life of someone, not just that day, but for the rest of their lives.
Hard to believe. Beautiful video. And a lot of nice comments.
Yes.
Graham Sweeney saying Bart was a really nice guy. He had no ego. He was a dedicated sailor. He loved what he did, and he was always 100% committed to his sport and his family. You would never want to meet a nicer guy. Steve Gruber, do you see that comment, Julia? Sailing completely changed my life for the better, starting at age 8. Jody was here. He said he went to the Bart Ball in San Francisco during the Cup. Yeah, it was a great night. It was a sad but terrific night. And a lot of good has come out of this. Not only the safety regs, Daniel Gruen, but the foundation and Bart's Ball and all the rest. Andrew James Bart Simpson.
He looks so alive in that.
1976 to 2013. May he, of course, continue to rest in peace. He does. It's a terrific photo, isn't it? Okay, let's get on here with the action and the rest of the show. John Emmett here, as usual, in the B block today. And he is at the family farm for some Friday reflections. You like the alliteration there, Julia?
Yes, of course.
Coach's Corner, Super Fozy John Emmett.
Hi Tom, Julia and all the Fozy. Really good to see you. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm here in Mahorn Farm, a little bit disappointed looking behind me. Doesn't look like anyone's working and the scaffolding's still up, but that's the way it goes. Much more important now just to talk about sailing news. I'm going to try and do this all in one take. You can probably hear, as per usual, Gatwick Airport, there's a plane going past in the background, but that is just the way it goes. A lot of news today, so going to try and get through it, and perhaps the thing that I always notice is just how quickly time goes, and it's the week, it's 10 years to the day that Andrew Simpson, or Bart Simpson as is affectionately known to his friends, died, and I remember it so well. I mean, first of all, a little bit of background. I did my first Worlds in 1994 in what was then the laser radial class in Japan, and I shared a room with Bart, and we found Japan very expensive. I remember finding it expensive in 2021, but yeah, as a young man I've had it very expensive. We actually ended up boiling eggs in the kettle, and we had to cycle everywhere, and I had a little bike that the brakes I couldn't let off, so it was hard to keep up with the standard guys as it was, but that made it really hard. So I've known Bart for forever. I mean, we did a European event in 1993, which I think was when I first met him, and I still remember the sail number of the boat which I used for that. And interestingly, another friend has recently started sailing again now, his kid is, and he's actually brought his old boat back, but I digress. That Bart Simpson, it was a huge tragedy. I was racing in Holland when it happened. At regattas, sometimes you don't sleep that well during the night because you're still thinking about the race. That happens for me probably even more so as a coach. What should I say, what should I not say? Woke up in the middle of the night, turned my laptop on, saw there was some news, and I actually watched it live, and I'm never going to forget that night. Next day it was 35 knots. I just wanted to go sailing. We couldn't go sailing. The Dutch were, as you would expect, incredibly kind, and they put the flag to half mast. But in some respects, 10 years, it's a long time, and the Andrew Simpson Centre's doing some amazing things. In other respects, it just seems like yesterday. And closer to home, I see Leah now. He always used to joke, his wife called her the Princess, as in Princess Leia in Star Wars. And you know, they're a member of Castle Cove. I've coached one of the sons, and actually one of them really, both in looks and appearance, looks just so like Bart. It's scary. So that's something from 10 years ago, and that's always going to be close to my heart. And then in the most recent news, you've obviously got the Newport leg, which I think Tom will talk about extensively today. But news is just what we see. One of the things which came out very recently, because we have a world rankings, is the latest world rankings, which isn't necessarily telling us exactly who the best sailors in the world, but of course it's an indication. And it just got me going down this path of, you know, what is it that makes the top sailors the top sailors? And some of it perhaps you would suggest is obvious. It's pushing yourself. The easiest example of that is pushing yourself in the gym. I mean, it can be pretty uncomfortable when you think your biceps are going to tear or your heart is going to fall out your chest when you go running, but that's what you need to do, and that's fairly easy to quantify in physical training. But to push yourself on the water is also hard. So each training exercise is like a real race, and you know, I'm very involved in social media, so even when I'm not at events, I watch them a lot, what people are doing. And you know, there's always this temptation as one of the top sailors to go and do, you know, lower level regattas, because there may be potentially you keep a sponsor happy and you can have a nice picture of you on a podium and all the rest of it. But big picture, if you're in your comfort zone, that's not pushing you. And that's not what the Marit Bowmisters of the world do. They, you know, the hard work is done at home and training, and if you're away doing a small Europa Cup event or whatever, that's time you're not in the gym or not, you know, really solving your problem. So this getting out your comfort zone and pushing yourself is such an important thing, and it's something we all need to take, because it's how you perform under pressure, and that's, you know, that's going and doing those hard regattas. Well, famous last words, didn't quite manage to do it in one take. I'm filming this in the morning because I'm trying really hard not to leave everything to the last minute. That's one of my philosophies. Better to do things sooner rather than later, just in case something changes later and you can't do it, but obviously not wanting to get run over. One of the stories which has been going on for a long time, and I think it's a big story, is to do with the classes. And I think it's very easy as individuals to focus on the urgent, you know, so we've just got this thing that's come up, we need to do it immediately, this is the current news, but forget about the important things and more about long term. So the relationship between a class and the builder is very important. I see really big extremes. So probably one of the biggest extremes is what happened to the Ilka class, now the Ilka dinghy, and the builder, which is or was Laser Performance. And I know a lot of people were very upset about losing the name Laser, and I have to, you know, control myself when I'm doing pieces to camera, because 20 years of saying Laser and a few years of saying Ilka can be hard. But that relationship between all the stakeholders is so important. I mean, for the Worlds in 2024 for the Ilka class, I'm already talking to the organisers, trying to, you know, make sure we do a really good job, and for 2023 maybe talk to World Sailing, because it's not just for the Ilkas but for everyone. But this relationship between the class and the builder is so important. In fact, the relationship between RS Sailing, the class and the builder, is so thin, you know, you couldn't get a cigarette paper in between, and I think that's probably a very healthy thing, to have that, you know, really left hand knows what the right hand is doing. Multiple builders, I think long term is always going to be a good thing, because quite simply it pushes everyone to make a good boat, and people who don't make a good boat, and you can define that as you are, but you know, a fast one that is built to class rules, and it is very much going to last because it's very easy to build a boat with very light ends that go soft after season or whatever, and one which is competitively priced. And I'm sure there's other factors, but yeah, multiple builders, competition hopefully brings out the best in people. But the story that's been rumbling along for a long time and probably hasn't had much coverage, and I guess maybe even comes to a head this year, is now the relationship between laser performance and the sunfish class. And the sunfish class is just another amazing class for increasing participation, because it's easy and it's accessible, and that's what we need to encourage more people into the sport. But yeah, that's one of the stories going on, the dispute between the two that may have missed your notice. So yeah, something to think about. Looks like it's time for another plane, so I'm going to end it there and see you on the show.
See you on the show, he says, as the plane goes over.
Yes.
What a great report.
It is, and he's very smooth in his speaking these days too.
Well, I was looking, I think I sent you a link. For some reason I was looking for something preparing the show last night, and our show number like 259.
Yeah.
You know, that's almost 400
yeah.
shows
Yeah.
ago. Popped up from, I don't remember even the date, when the hell it was. But it's, you know, it's quite different.
Yes.
At the same time, it's pretty similar.
Yes.
And there was an Emmett report, even back then. And I don't remember how often, when we got him out. I have to go back or get Clark Chapin to go back and do a little research. But thanks, John Emmett, for another terrific report. All this back and forth of who's stealing what from the scaffolding on the farmhouse. John just gets better, Ryman says.
Yeah.
And a nice compliment to the sunfish class. You know, a lot of people, at least in this country, grew up sailing the sunfish. Ted Turner, John Kostecki, you know, myself included, and lots of other people. And it's a good boat, still is. And it's, you know, World Sailing has got to get their proverbial act together, Julia. They've got to come to the party, go deal with the manufacturer, go deal with the class, because, you know.
I'll do it the club.
Well, it's the same problem now. It's the
Yeah.
class is having this problem with the manufacturer. The manufacturer owns the name and the rights to the boat, and the sunfish class will end up changing the name of that class too. They'll change it to the, tell me what, the sailfish class, or there is a sailfish sailboat, and I don't know who owns that copyright, if anybody. Thank you, John Emmett. Many thanks. Appreciate it as always. John Emmett Sailing. Get to the front of the fleet with John and his superb coaching skills and his videotapes, which are online to this day. Julia, you like to say,
take this opportunity to like, follow, and share.
John always says that too at the start of his report, which we appreciate very much indeed. You know, I'm using this shot as the transition slide between stories, and it's a fabulous shot. Michelle Almeida, I guess her husband, Stephen, I guess it's her husband, Stephen Almeida as well. And we got a bunch of shots, as you can imagine. As John said, we're covering this win by 11th Hour Racing and Charlie Enright into his native Newport, Rhode Island, in just a minute. But first, we told you on Tuesday that this is International Nurses Week, at least National Nurses Week, and different countries celebrating it or not. But today is actually International Nurses Day. Why repeat this? Because I, at least, Julia, have a very fond spot in my heart for my wife, who's a nurse.
Yes.
And the Beach Street Yacht Club bartender, our good friend Alfredo Partible, who's a nurse, and nurses everywhere. We appreciate their service very much. Now, I'm going to play a video. It's only about a minute and change long, that's celebrating International Nurses Day. But watch it. I wouldn't play it, except I'm wondering why we don't celebrate sailing the same way that this video celebrates nurses. Because at the end, it says, I'm a nurse. And I'm wondering why we don't do a video that says, I am a sailor. Have a look.
Everybody come around, get together, we're helping out. You, me, we, can't you see? Get together. together, moving and singing. Nurses all day save a life, alright. Always proving, nation is up. Strong, unstoppable, caring for each other. Helping hand, understand, lift each other time and time again. Lift me, lift me, lift each other, lift me. You save me, save all the day.
Okay, so you get the idea. And first of all, again, happy International Nursing Day. And this is, can you guess who produced this commercial and why? It's for those what do you call those? The nurses wear their, come on, what's the term of art for that? Happy Nurses Week. They're scrubs.
Oh,
Nurses
and the
scrubs, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
I was
that's
going to say,
and it's
they're
this
quite good-looking scrubs.
And it's yeah, exactly, and it's this company Figs, I guess, and I don't know if they're good scrubs or not. They're colorful, but nonetheless, why don't we produce a video that says "I'm a sailor" and it's a bunch of sailors that come out of the yacht club bar, I guess, in their foulies and their topsiders, and this is what we do because sailors are partiers. Sailors do have fun on and off the water.
Yeah.
Instead, we do these videos about people being wet and cold, or it looks like to the non-initiated, they look like, Julia, it looks like they're wet and cold.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, look at these.
And
look at this.
sometimes they are.
Look at this. This looks like it's windy, wet, and cold. We all know it's beautiful Newport, Rhode Island, but, they're hunkering down below. I almost ran that as a corrector crutonic, is that video. I think it's a fabulous video. Tell me if I'm wrong. Nurses don't have a non-nursing CEO. Peter Taylor.
How do you know? How do you know?
I'll bet you they don't. Well, it's like our friend John Campbell, who got booted off YouTube for a week because he was saying things like, hey, we got a problem with excess deaths in the UK and beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah, and back and forth about the Olympic matter and about the all the stuff with world sailing and the sunfish class and so on. But nonetheless, that'll get sorted out, I hope. Scrubs. Everybody's got scrubs. Thank you all. What else? Yeah, the class owns the builder. Yeah, some classes actually own the builder instead of the other way around, which makes sense. Sure, could easily see Ainsley doing those dance moves. Well, I can see any number of sailors doing that. And if they don't want to do it, well, that's their loss. Laser Performance is part of the McLaren Group, manufacturer of strollers and such. My spelling error. Yeah, it's spelled with an MAC. I almost went to work for AMF Alcourt. In fact, I think before Alcourt was bought by AMF, when that was the original. Al and Court were the names of the two guys that started the company. Courtney or Court, I can't remember the last names. A long time ago, and they had the Alcourt sailfish and then the Alcourt sunfish, and then the Force 5. Anyway, I'm glad I didn't do that. But great class, that sunfish class, and thanks to all of you for that. And let's go on here now with Bravo Zulu to the winner of Leg 4. Up to Newport from Itajaí. We've been talking about this leg, it seems like, forever, and it started down in Brazil on the 23rd of April. And what 17 or 18 days from memory, and they finished just after we got off the air, I guess on a Wednesday, the day after our Tuesday show. Beautiful Newport, Rhode Island. That's kind of looking north, looking west, I guess. That's Clingstone there in the background. We'll talk about Clingstone. It makes a lot of these shots. And the bridge is over here to the right, to the north. So that's looking more westerly. And of course, 11th hour racing. Charlie Enright's team won the fourth leg of the ocean race between Itajaí and Newport, finishing on Wednesday at 1840 hours UTC. After just over 17 days at sea, the American crew winters into their home port, finished just 31 minutes and 41 seconds ahead of Team Militia. Wow. So not as dramatic as the finish of the ocean race last time when they went into Newport, when there were, 3 boats back and forth.
But think how far they have been apart.
Well, exactly. It was, these 2 boats are pretty close all the way up.
Yeah.
And Militia was led on this stage by Will Harris, as we know, subbing for, we'll talk about him in a minute, And Biotherm Paul Milehot completed the podium on Thursday at 12:04 hours UTC. Now, Guillaume Environment, Team Europe, suffered a dismasting, as you all know, on Tuesday morning. We reported that on the show Tuesday. The second on this leg, after that, of course, of Holcim PRB, who dismasted shortly after the start. In the general classification, as Tip and Shaft calls it, meaning the overall standings, everything is open as Holcim PRB now only has a 1-point lead over 11th Hour Racing and Team Militia before the Newport to Aarhus, Denmark stage, which counts double points and starting on May 21st. So this race is pretty interesting now.
Yeah.
It's back really anybody's race, at least among these top 3 boats. Now, I've got one video. There were a couple, 3 videos that came out of Newport. This is by far the best. I watched them all. And it's a nice celebration of Charlie Enright and his team's win. Have a look.
Feels amazing to win this leg. I mean, take a look around. I mean, there's droves of people. I mean, rows of people. It's nuts. I mean, you know, we could finish it any time of day. To do it in the afternoon on a sunny day with great weather, I mean, it's a dream come true.
Really, really nice here to be in our team's hometown in first place. It's you know, there's always massive pressure to win the one where you're coming home. So to get the job done is pretty amazing.
It feels pretty awesome. You know, it's the hometown for the team, for 11 Hour Racing, and for most of us, we also live in the U.S. Or even here in Newport. It's pretty special, honestly.
Wild. I mean, there's so many people here.
Look at that crowd, Julia.
Wow, it's great.
Fort Adams.
Totally crazy. It's like, you know, we want to do it for ourselves. We want to do it for you. It's amazing that I'm from here, that the sponsor's from here.
Give them a big cheer, folks. The winning team into Newport from the USA. The hometown team. 11th Hour Racing.
Now, there are some people who think that this was an engineered finish, that they wanted, that is, the Ocean Race wanted the hometown team to finish first. I think this is a lot of balderdash. I hope it is, but I'm pretty sure it's not correct. And huzzah, as Jonathan Frank says, and bravo Zulu to the entire team. I think they fought hard to stay ahead of Team Militia. And by doing so, it's really closed the race up a lot. Look at these standings now going forward. 11th Hour took 5 points from this leg. Team Militia took 4, Biotherm 3. And now Guillaume Environment, it's questionable whether they are going to continue. We'll tell you more about that in a moment. And, of course, Team Holcim PRB, Kevin Escoffier's team, dismasted early on and retired. Now, as of today, Guillaume Environment has also officially
I just saw that,
retired. I mean, they had no choice. I don't know why it took so long. They suspended racing, or they thought somehow if they got a big Southeaster, they're going to come in on their jury rig, but I don't think so. So here are after the race results, here are the overall rankings. Holcim PRB, as you can see, on 19, only 1 point behind, as we said in that report from Tip and Shaft. 11th Hour Racing on 18, as is Team Militia. Biotherm even still in the hunt. And Guillaume Environment now really out of it completely, even if they continue. So that's why there's some speculation today that they are not going to continue. Clark Chapin's interesting chart he sent along a couple, but we know the results, so I'm just running with this one, which is the average speed, the velocity made against the course, made to course, of the leader. And they averaged 11, almost 12 knots, but you can see, though, they were up and down on this lake, going through the doldrums and coming into some breeze, and then it got light again there just before they were coming into Newport. And then the breeze picked up and their speed picked up, and it was a pretty breezy, windy, cool, but sunny finish in Newport. And a great time, I think, was had by all. Newport, Rhode Island, of course, the spiritual heart of sailing in this country, of the United States, if not the world, although you might think of Cowes, Isle of Wight, because of the Cup starting there in 1851 and some things like that. Okay, what's next for the ocean race? Well, they go from Newport to Aarhus, Denmark, north of the British Isles, and around into Aarhus. That is, they're a week or so before the 8th of June start. Then the leg 7 is they do a keel. They go down into the Kiel Fjord and up, back around, and go to Den Haag, to The Hague, and then in the Netherlands. And then from there, the final leg over back into the Med to Genoa. And there's an import race in Newport on, let's see, today's the 12th, so it's on the 20th. The 19th is next Friday, so that's next Saturday, the 20th, and then the start is the 21st, right? Yeah, the start is on the 21st of May for this leg over to Aarhus, which counts double points. Sorry to repeat, but now, interesting development here, Julie. You see this?
Yes.
This is Kevin Escoffier. He has recruited Charles Caudrelier into his team. Charles has won this race, and he's coming to crew for Kevin Escoffier on the leg across to Aarhus, because it not does account for 2 points, but they're in the hunt and they need to maintain their lead. So they are staffing up with some. I don't think there's many changes to the other crews. We'll see if our German friend, Herr, why can't I think of his name, Julia?
Oh, gosh.
Who's to see if he rejoins his team. I'm sure he will.
Right.
But we'll see. And interesting that Charles Caudrelier is joining this team for Wholesome PRB for leg 5. And then the other thing that's happening, you have to wonder, this is from a couple hours ago, maybe almost 3 hours ago now. And this is, of course, the tracker. And you can see that Geo Environment, Team Europe, has retired. They're now scored as RET. But up here, they're way up here. Almost looks like they're going toward, Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
Because they're way east of Newport. Now, you can understand why they can't exactly, with that jury rig and the engine, there's a lot of breeze here, and they can't exactly go upwind in all that breeze, I guess, toward Newport.
I'm sure that's true.
And I've checked in with a couple sources this morning and haven't heard back as to what exactly is going on. But then I heard this from one of our FOSI, and this from Daniel Grun in Germany, saying that Geo Team and Team Europe, Team Environment, might withdraw from the remaining 3 legs. Co-skipper Robert Stanjek already posted on Instagram that the main goal is not to jeopardize Benjamin Dutrox's 2024 Vendée campaign, which is, of course, using this boat. So what's going to happen now? Are they going to try not even go to Newport? Are they just going to go into some place, some harbor, some ports where they get a ship and get it shipped over to Europe and stop worrying about this race, that is the ocean race, and banging up the boat further, but also the timing. They want to, I'm sure, get into Europe and get back onto the Vendée Globe paths. Or so that's Daniel Grun's speculation this morning, and he's usually spot on.
Yes.
Keeps us posted on it. He follows American politics even closer than we do.
And he's very perceptive about it, too.
He is indeed. Julie, anything else on this race? Any comments?
No, it's been really an interesting race.
Charles Caudrelier, yes, is joining Wholesome PRB. That is interesting. And Charlie should enjoy it while it lasts, Daniel Grun is saying. Yeah, we'll see. Well, we'll see. Charlie's come good. He's getting better and better. So we shall see.
Oh, it's Boris Herman.
Boris Herman. There we go. Herr Herman, who's from Hamburg, but he's been living in Geneva, I think. He's representing that club, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, Aarhus isn't that place. Madness we're singing about. No, Graham Sweeney, I don't think they were. Bring in the ringer with a W. And I think James Bland is right back on the class issue, Julia. Classes should, like the Star class, the Thistle class, they should own the rights to the plans to their boat.
Yeah.
And the owner should own it. And then they should, in concert with World Sailing, license builders if it's an international class.
Right.
And of course, J. Frederick Bland, Boomer Bland, is familiar with that in the Finn class as well as in several of the other classes.
One would think they would do that because that would offer more benefits and teams.
Well, you have competition among builders.
Yeah.
And then if a builder goes bust or decides to, get out of that class, you still got other builders that are licensed or can be licensed to build it. But in this case of Laser Performance, they own the class and the design and the manufacturing processes even. But let's keep going. Boris Herman. Yeah, Boris Herman. Thank you. Smart group.
Yes,
they're headed to Halifax. They knew they were done on Tuesday, Steve Gruber says. Okay, interesting. Halifax, Daniel Grun is saying. They are going to Halifax according to race management this morning, Steve Adkins is saying. Steve, by the way, was over in Newport for the finish. Salvage, headed to Halifax. Okay, everybody's saying they're headed to Halifax. If they miss Halifax, I'm sure they can make Port Island. Rick Banner. Well, they might go to Greenland. Nice Spooner. Tom Fishbeck likes my shirt. It is a Rain Spooner shirt from the Stag Cruise, St. Francis Yacht Club Stag Cruise. They got a bunch of fuel from a ship. Oh, and they're motoring now. Okay, we look at all the news we got. I couldn't see anything about that anywhere on the website. So I don't know where you all saw that, but thank you for reporting that. Enright isn't going to beat the Escoffier-Caudrelier combo. Daniel Grun is asserting. Oh, we'll see. Robert, he's doing, the 11th Hour Racing has come better and better and better.
It has.
So we'll see. Robert is a smart guy. If they don't abandon the regatta and can regroup, he may be betting on the short course and more tactical racing. Okay. Fritz Mueller saying that down in Miami. Morris Stevens, they are. I was thinking about you when we were talking about Halifax. They're coming to you. You go rescue them, Maura. Help them get on a ship. Jay Fish, new class bill. Jay Fish. See that? Clever. Yeah. See how clever Banner Rose? That's a play on words on J boats and sunfish. Jay Fish. Huh?
Yep.
Nice stuff. Okay. So I'm going to have some photos at the end from Michelle Almeida. And her husband, I think it's her husband, or brother, or boyfriend, or something. I think it's her husband. And she was accredited as a journalist, as a photographer journalist, to the ocean race in Newport by, ta-da, Sailing Illustrated.
Ta-da!
So she's there really on our behalf. We're going to show some
good.
Beautiful photos they took at the end of the show. Okay, a revisit here of guess what? Tom Slingsby's three-peat at Sail GP last weekend here in San Francisco. Just to remind you the standings, Season 3 is over. The Brits, Sir Ben Ainsley's team, finished third with 85 points. And Ben today put out a video that I thought was kind of interesting. Have a look.
Yeah, tough day for the team. We've done a lot of hard work yesterday. Got ourselves in a great position. Ultimately, the goal of the final two fleet races was to make sure we made the grand final. We did that, although we had a good shot at winning the event alongside the Aussies, but it just didn't quite click in those two fleet races. Anyway, we got ourselves into the final race, and it was unfortunately it was just one of our worst races in a long time. We didn't get off the start line well. Our manoeuvres weren't as good as they normally are, and we didn't put the boat in the right part of the race course. So frustrating because the team's done a great job all weekend fighting through to get into that grand final. But that's sport, and it shows how narrow the margins are between winning or not. So we take it on the chin and certainly go away and look at some of the issues from the final race, what we can do better, and work on that. Looking forward to season 4.
Good video, nice sentiments from a
Yes.
great guy.
Yes.
Bravo Zulu to their team. Bravo Zulu to all the teams, especially the top 3. And here now is what some of you like. It's one of your favorite videos after each of these regattas. Some of you don't like the music so much. But here is the GoPro video highlights from last weekend. There's a good point by Stingray. He's saying, unlike the AC-40s, where the sailors are hunkered down below the, in the hulls, you can see the sailors racing, and they're moving back and forth from side to side. They're up above the parapet, so to speak, grinding and hugging there, and it's nice stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I thought the music was okay too this time, better than in the past. And bravo Zulu to Tommy Slingsby and co. And by the way, one of the Fozy sent me the names of everybody on that team. It was who was it down in Australia, and I'm going to run that on Tuesday because again we want to congratulate them, all the sailors, names with faces, and we shall do so on Tuesday, Julia.
I was surprised there wasn't more active Australian seeing on shore. I was the only one in the grill room, I think, with any Australian.
With your Royal Prince Alfred jacket on.
Yes, I'm a fan.
Well, but I think people were looking at the Americans that weren't doing very well. Jimmy Spithill. There's back and forth. Bill Wingrove. I'm not going to read his comment, but he's absolutely right. Long, great comment from Bill Wingrove about the Sunfish Alcourt situation. Jonathan Frank asking Julia, why was Ben late into the starting box? Well, he got attacked. He was out here and he got attacked. You didn't see it in that video, but he first got attacked and kind of slowed down by Tom Slingsby. And then Tom went over and luffed up the Kiwis, as you saw, and just managed to squeeze ahead of them on that drag race across to the first mark. Cool stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. That was a master class. Several people said, and they said on the race commentary, well, we said on the race commentary, I didn't use the word master class. Julia, it gets overused.
Yes.
Master class.
Yes.
Cliche. Original plug for the 49er in his shed, Jody Shields says. Daniel Gruen is, I hear from him almost every day. Who's the new team? Who's the new team that's going to be announced in Chicago? Well, we shall see. That music sounds like that damn pipe organ you guys have at the Marina Breakwater. That's Graham Sweeney. That's called the wave organ. Right, Julia?
Yes.
And do you remember? Do you remember there was commentary going on? One of our good friends, not Tucker Thompson, I won't name him in case it embarrasses him. He said he was talking about the wave organ, which is there where the water goes in and out of the pipes and makes noise right down at the end of the Yacht Club Peninsula.
It plays the song.
And, well, I don't know if it plays. It just goes, it's hardly a song, but the water, and there's several of these around the world. This is not unique, but it goes in and out in the pipes and makes some noise. It's kind of fun. Well, it's called the wave organ.
Yes.
As the waves come in, but one of the commentators called it an organ wave.
Oh, well.
Not during Sail GP. That was during the America's Cup. Okay, Sail GP. Here is, we showed you this on Tuesday, but here are the next season venues. And if you see here, starting in Chicago, 16th to 17th of June, ending in San Francisco again, but in July instead of May. So that'll be a lot better weather. It'll be windier, it'll be breezier, it will be hopefully warmer, although when the wind comes in, it gets cold. And it's all starts the 16th to 17th of June, Sail GP Season 4 in Chicago. And Daniel Gruen is wondering, like all of us, who is this new team? Some people think it's the DAO. What's DAO stand for? The distributed. I just looked it up and sent it to Daniel this morning. What a DAO is, something autonomous organization, distributed autonomous organization, decentralized autonomous organization.
Yeah.
And this is one of these things. It's a team that's owned by people who put in $5 or $10 or $15. And we'll see if that is or if not, because there have been some articles saying that's not what it's going to be. A lot of speculation it will be Germany or Italy. And we'll see.
Yeah.
I have a pretty good idea, but I've been asked not to say. And you know what? I won't.
Yeah, good.
Jody is asking why what's he saying?
Why does America look like a whale in that graphic?
A whale? Yes, there is a Canadian event in there. I thought. Yeah, there is. Let me back the graphic out. There is a Canadian event down there on the bottom row, second from the left.
Yeah.
1st through the 2nd of June. So it goes Bermuda, Canada, New York, San Francisco, the final 4 events. So Handel's Water Music, of course, now known as the Cyclor's Water Music. What else? Why does America look like a whale in that graphic? Does it?
Well,
I don't think it does. Ted Ryman, Acme, ACME, master class is used as a substitute for master bakers, but I digress. What? But where? Clark Chabin's asking, where in Canada? Well, that's a good question, Clark. We don't know. I think it'll be Toronto, but obviously Russell's negotiating a venue fee with somebody. Could conceivably, I think it's going to be on the East Coast. I don't think they go out to Vancouver, but it could be.
Daniel Gruen says Kingston, Montreal, or Halifax.
Yeah, I think that probably makes sense. Montreal, but then if it's in Montreal, you got to sail in Loch St. Louis, which, in June, there's not a lot of wind that time of year. Halifax, Morris Stevens would be happy about that. Kingston in the northeast corner of Lake Ontario, where the Olympics were held, the Olympic sailing in '76, that's a possibility. Could be in Toronto still. I think there's still a possibility for Toronto. Okay, that's the season 4 starting in Chicago. Looks like a whale. Jeez, I don't see it, Julia. Do you?
No, but I'm too used to looking at it in that.
Okay, enough of all that. Let's get to America's Cup news here with Mr. Dalton and see what he's got to say for an AC-37 Cup Day. What we've got actually are 2 videos, both from American Magic. We haven't paid much attention to them lately. First, just kind of an internal one about steering and about driving that I think you will find interesting. Then, Terry Hutchinson's monthly video report, which they're doing. I don't know if this is the first one. I think it's the first one I've seen, And T. Hutch from Pensacola weighs in with some very interesting update news by way of an update. We'll get to that one second.
To be a good helmsman, obviously, it takes a lot of experience. The more you sail these sorts of boats, the better you get at it.
It's got a lot to do with intuition and feel on the boat and trying to predict what's going to happen next.
It takes a high level of concentration. It takes a good understanding of the boat. It takes a good understanding of the people and the team that you're racing with.
Being able to read the wind and understanding how that next gust is going to affect your boat.
A good helmsman in today's America's Cup is somebody that can make decisions fast.
Things happen so fast on these boats that you've got to have super fast reactions.
Your reaction time needs to be that of Formula One race car driver.
Somebody that's good at driving a boat and looking around the racetrack at the same time.
But also a really good understanding of what's happening not only above the water in the sails, but what's happening below the water in the foil, so you have the ability to adapt to them and know the cause and effect.
And then you probably have to have a little bit of an X factor inside yourself to want to push harder and be better than the next person. All those things combined together probably make a great helmsman.
And I think to add to that, you got to have red hair.
So this nice video, and with Slingsby there and Goody, I think this team, I now rate them as the #1 challenger. I'm hearing some things from inside the team that I think bode well for the design program, design process. It looks like they're well organized, well funded again, and I think they learned a lot from their exercise in Auckland. But here, Stingray is just saying in the comments, this is the first of a regular monthly update from T. Hutch, from their skipper, sailing director, and it's, as I said, is revelatory. Is that a word?
Revelatory.
Revelatory. Is it a word?
Yep.
I have to check with my Stanford dictionary over here. Have a look.
Hi, my name is Terry Hutchinson. I'm the president of sailing operations and the skipper for New York Yacht Club American Magic, Challenger 37th America's Cup. I'm coming to you today from Pensacola, Florida. For the past month, we've been developing America, our AC40. It's been a combination of sailor development, learning the One Design systems inside the boat, and the setups of the One Design systems and how the boat operates. That's been coupled with foil development of our foil wing and foil wing 1 and the idiosyncrasies of that, and really working to line up the design tool with the performance on the water. And as you evolve inside the America's Cup and then in the boats that we're trying to develop here, matching that data and matching the trends that we see on the water is critical for the designers. So that's really been the last 4 weeks of our operation. We're getting ready to make a transition over to our second foil wing for more evolution and development. Again, that's another variation of what we have under America right now. And it'll be exciting to see because we're exploring all sides of the development and all sides of the foil wing box to see what is fast and what's slow. We're in a very unique spot here in Pensacola because we have the option to sail in flat water, but we also have the option to go out and sail in the Gulf of Mexico in the waves. And really that's the waves are the big X factor to this next America's Cup. We all know what we saw in New Zealand and in the flat waters of the Waimata Harbor. And so the race course in the Mediterranean is going to be completely different to that. And I think all the teams are going to be faced with how to solve the sea state solution and what that actually means. And so our designers are taking an approach where they're exploring different areas and we're learning about the strengths and weaknesses of our foil designs. The AC40 has proven to be a great platform for that. And I think we're excited to see when we get foil wing 2 underneath the boat how she performs. In the middle of May, we will pack everything up here and we'll begin our operational move to Barcelona. And really that'll be the final push for the team to Spain, which will be good. It's going to be nice to be there nice and early to ease our way into living abroad and living in Europe. Our first sailing day that we're targeting is June 22nd in Barcelona, and we'll launch boat 2 first, and then we'll launch America here, our boat 1 in the AC40 second. And we'll get into some 2-boat sailing. So it's going to be an exciting time. There's still a lot to do here in the next 3 weeks in Pensacola, and yet I know we're all looking forward to our move to Barcelona.
The X factor in the next cup are the waves, T. Hutch is saying. They're getting over there early. Terry's, by the way, promised to come on the show.
Oh, good.
In the break between, why do I have a black box over my shoulder, Julia? That's not correct.
No.
Between the packing up in Pensacola.
Yeah.
There's some more alliteration. and when they get to Barcelona. So we expect in the next month or so, next month we'll have T. Hutch on here. Julie Aaron saying, I am crazy about T. Hutch. He is such a good guy. If they really get it together, they can be super successful. Let's hope.
Yes.
I'd really like to see the Royal Yacht Squadron or the New York Yacht Club win this. I think it would be good for the Cup, good for the sport.
Yes.
Nothing against the Italians, nothing against... I still think Alinghi's going to be tough. Don't get me wrong. I still think they're going to be plenty tough. We shall see. A couple other comments. Gordon Smith he's a poet and doesn't know it. Terry, it is not just waves, it is the swell as well. As Stingray says, time will tell. No, that's exactly right. It is going to be a different, no pun intended.
Kettle of fish.
Kettle of fish. Are you making fun of me?
No.
I probably
just heard it coming.
I deserve it. A different kettle of fish out there in the open water. And again, as I've said any number of times on this show, having bounced around there for the 92 Olympics, right off that breakwater, umpiring in a rubber boat. It is bumpy. It's a washing machine, and we'll see. And there's a lot of development. I haven't covered it much here, but there's a lot of development on wings, and they both put one set of wings. Well, it's a set because there's a one wing on the port side, and a different wing on the starboard side. Then they go out and test and see which wing feels better in the given day, given conditions, breeze, and so on. And there's a lot of interesting development now coming out. We'll get a foil expert, a wing expert on here to talk us through that in due course. Okay. Any other comments, Julia?
I'm trying to find the comment, and I think that Jonathan Frank said it. I struggled to share his vision of racing in the Halifax tides.
The Halifax tides, yeah. Well, there is a lot.
I mean, it's 44 feet.
Yeah. Indeed. And Pindar is saying, and he's talking about Scarborough. Well, he's saying, why isn't the racing going to be in Scarborough, Ontario? That is the Canadian Sail GP. And of course, he's partial to Scarborough because, as he tells us all the time, there are like 200 Scarboroughs around the world.
Right.
Okay, maybe not that many. There's probably
16.
20 though. Is that what he said? 16?
I'm remembering 16.
But I'm telling you, Andrew, Scarborough, where I played hockey as a kid, is a suburb north of Toronto. Toronto, as Paul Henderson would say. And there ain't any water up there except maybe in the toilets and the bathtubs. But if they're going to sail, they're going to sail down to Toronto. Toronto Harbor.
Yeah.
This next one is fun. This is not an official AAAA, not an official Alistair's awesome Aussie anecdote, but it's a video that he sent that is produced by Australian Sailing, and they call it moving class up transitioning, and it's a young gal named Brooke Wilson you'll see in a moment. But watch this video for promotion of youth sailing. Watch this video for what I like, the theme of this is my sailing. This is my what sailing means to me, sort of thing. Have a look.
Hi, my name's Brooke Wilson. I sail the Laser Radial, and this is my sailing journey.
My sailing
so the
journey.
first boat I sailed was an Optimist out of Bayview Yacht Racing Association on Pittwater. I kind of got into it because I saw lots of Tackers Opties out, and I was like, oh, that looks really fun. I want to give that a go. So I headed down to my local club, and the boat that they were kind of teaching Learn to Sail on was an Optimist. So that was kind of my natural first boat I sailed. And I think once I kind of progressed through the Learn to Sail section, I got my own Opti. So yeah, I kept on sailing an Optimist for the first 5 years. I started doing club racing, and then I kind of moved to state championships and local regattas around the area. And then I kind of progressed onto the national kind of scene, and I went to Tasmania first of all. After that experience, I met lots of cool people, and we kind of went from there. So I was about 13 when I jumped out of the Opti into a Laser 4.7. I started to obviously grow a bit bigger. I was kind of getting a bit old for the Opti, and my natural first step was to hop into a 4.7. My transition from Opti to lasers was a very seamless one. I kind of it was very natural, like all the other people around me were jumping into lasers. So I think the biggest thing when transitioning classes is the people around you. I think if you're enjoying it and you've got friends, you obviously want to move into those classes with them and travel to new regattas and new venues as well, and keep experiencing new moments with them. So I think that's the biggest thing. So right now I sail the laser radial, but alongside that I do Elliott 7s as well with the Squadron Keelboat program. So it's like a big dinghy but with a keel. I think what I really enjoy about that is the teamwork of it all, and also learning and communicating together, like seeing a wind shift and actually saying it out loud. I also think it's the different coaches that come with those different classes as well. I think you definitely get a greater insight into the broader aspects of sailing, learning new things from different coaches, and especially those coaches that have experienced sailing in a different way than, like, say, a dinghy coach has. So alongside the Elliots as well, I've obviously given quite a few different boats a go, and it's been quite scary a few of the times. I've tried out windsurfing. I've also tried out the FX, and it was my first time trapping when I gave that one a go. So obviously you can imagine how that one went. Couldn't quite bear away. I've also tried out the Wasp, and that was my first experience in a foiling boat. And coming from a laser, there is a massive speed difference. So that was definitely an interesting experience. But when you're up in the air and you're flying, you feel invincible until you realize you can't stop. So jumping into these new classes, you realise the learning curve is suddenly really steep again, and it becomes very addictive to keep learning new skills. When it comes to thinking about stepping up to those national and international events, I think it has to make logistical sense, and you have to have a broader perspective of what that event's going to mean to you. For me, I went to Sri Lanka for an Optimist event when I was in year 7, so I was about 13. Competing at that world stage at such a young age, it is hard to focus on your performance when you're experiencing all these new things at the one time, like traveling overseas for the first time, meeting new people, trying all these really cool cuisines, experiencing the culture, like sightseeing. You're trying to fit it all in, and you're here for this 2-week period when I think at such a young age that is quite a challenge. A piece of advice I was given from a very young age is just keep it simple. Like when it comes to sailing, there's a few basic elements, and sometimes it all gets really complicated. You get really flustered, you're out on the race course, everything's going wrong, and you just have to take a deep breath and go like, look, I just need to go fast right now. Like, that's all I need to focus on. If you take one piece of advice from each coach you've had, or a person that comes in to fill in for a coach, you're going to end up with a massive range of knowledge.
Now, is that a cool video?
It is.
And is she bright and articulate? Okay, there's some jump cutting in the video, but that's okay. She's probably a YouTuber or a TikToker or something.
Yeah.
Bravo Zulu, Australian
Very well
Sailing. Bravo Zulu,
Yes.
Alistair. Alistair sent me that this morning.
Yeah, it's
and
really
I had
good.
to stick it in because we want this kid on the show.
Yeah.
My sailing journey, that was what it was. And we should all, I'd love to hear everybody's sailing journey. All the Fozy. If you just put your face in front of a, in front of a iPhone or a Samsung phone, and keep an eye on her, Jonathan Frank is saying. She's your new coach's corner. Yeah, we'll replace Emma with her. That's a good idea. Baton Rouge. Wow, Greg Phillips, who's an Aussie, is saying. Yeah, very impressive.
Yes.
I always thought it was the Brits who were so articulate, these British kids. But man, oh man. Pindar's talking about Foiling Week. We're going to have Andrew going to fill us in on that again this year, I'm sure, I hope. Is she using cue cards? That's what I was wondering, Gordon Smith. Is she using cue cards, or is this straight up? I think she's straight up. She's not using cue cards. Too hard to read from a teleprompter. It is hard to do that well. Pedro Foiling Sailor, of course, who is an Aussie, says BYRA is a great... Give us the full name of BYRA, Peter. Sailed out of that club on Pittwater in the late 60s on a Fireball. Yeah, this woman is amazing. Gruber, Steve is absolutely. Okay, they're talking about alcohol. Why am I not surprised? She comes across so well, Ted Ryman is saying. Bravo Zulu, Ted, of course, in Cape Town. Jonathan Frank replying to Ted Ryman about Scarborough. They have a Scarborough. Did you see that, Julia? They have a Scarborough down in near Cape Town in South Africa, he's saying. And Jonathan Frank is saying, I understand they have a lovely fair there, a Scarborough fair.
Yes, of course
Parsley,
they do.
Sage, rosemary, and thyme. Okay, God. Thank you, Alistair. Another A4 that we just kind of slipped in because that wasn't an interview per se by Alistair, but man, oh man. Send us some more like that. Bravo Zulu, Australian Sailing, and the president the esteemed President Alistair Murray. Gets us to the last leg. Maura Stevens' favorite shot in the entire show.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate to say this as a proud, she's just coming across with a comment. Speaking not of the devil, she's saying, I hate to say this as a proud Nova Scotian, although the sailing would be amazing with a choice of numerous places in the province. She's talking about the Canadian Sail GP next summer.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm not certain that Halifax would be able to attract the large crowds that other Canadian cities would for the Sail GP exposure. Maura, it's not about crowds. Follow the money. It's about who will pay the biggest and best venue fee and then has a reasonably decent sailing venue as well. And you've got great sailing there. Can I just say that the original Derwent River down in Tasmania runs through the magnificent city of Derby in the UK? Okay. Back and forth, these Commonwealth folks, Julia.
Yes.
Huh?
Yeah.
Back on to the last leg. I have as we told you at the top of the show, I'm proclaiming Newport, Rhode Island. Not necessarily the ocean race, but Newport, Rhode Island as being, and this was a particularly photogenic week. The weather's been beautiful. Look at that. You know what that is right there? It is Castle Hill out there at the end of Newport Neck. And then, of course, that's Clingstone there on the right as 11th Hour Racing's coming in. And, of course, the ocean race, of course, 11th Hour Racing. There's the bridge looking north. But Newport, Rhode Island, we declare them and all the sailors living there, everybody living there. This is Biotherm coming in, finishing third. We should give them some love. Sailing past Clingstone. We've done some partying out at Clingstone, Julia, over the years. Look at this beautiful shot. These are all shots by Sailing Energy, the last couple anyway. And that, of course, is Fort Adams looking south. You can I've probably covered it up with that graphic. There's Newport, or New York Yacht Club's. In fact, I'll point it out. Underneath this graphic, which I can't remove, is Harbor Court, New York Yacht Club Station, and then next to it is Ida Lewis Yacht Club. And this, of course, Fort Adams, the old, dating from 1800s.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not Revolutionary War fort, but subsequent to that. And then Sail Newport is in here. There's the new Sail Newport building up there. Fabulous place. I lived there, Leslie and I lived there from, 79 till 87 when we went to San Diego. Newport, Rhode Island, they're the winners of the day, and all who live there, especially sailors. The loser of the day, I'm sorry to say, continues to be the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron. The mainstream media down there are starting to pile on. I've heard from some of them myself. And I got to tell you, it ain't pretty. And I hear again from members of the squadron about their continuing financial problems and having to shutter or at least downscale their station out at Kawa, a beautiful station that is, especially for you sailing. Of course, it's winter. They're going into their winter, so it's not quite so bad. But the squadron has got to grab themselves by, well, I won't use the word that Jody likes to use, but by their cojones en Espanol. They got to sit down with Mr. Dalton, and they got to regain control as the Defender trustee under the deed of gift and under New Zealand trust law as well as New York trust law. They are in charge, not Emirates Team New Zealand.
Yes, everybody forgets that, but should not.
Well, the club has forgotten it too. The loser of the day, the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron. But not to end on a negative note, there's another winner of the day, and this is a video from some kids on a boat. They're Kiwi kids, and they've been sailing around the world, and they're now YouTube producers, called the Kiwi Boys. Fantastic stuff. Have a look.
Whoa. Calm down there for a second. I haven't even introduced myself or my brothers. We're the Kiwi Boys. Let me start from the beginning. Sit though. We grew up in the New Zealand countryside, living on half an acre of land surrounded by farms and rolling hills. That all changed in 2014 when my family bought a boat. We sailed around the New Zealand coastline for a year until we felt confident to leave, traveling to Tonga, Fiji, Vanuatu, and New Caledonia. I even celebrated my 11th birthday on that first passage up to Tonga. After finishing our 7-month trip, our parents realized that they loved travel and they loved boat life. So in 2018, we moved onto the boat full time. Okay, time to meet my brothers. Here they are. The oldest of the group is Finn. He left the boat in 2020 to pursue his passion for rowing. He's currently in the New Zealand elite rowing squad and will be competing in Europe this year. We're very proud of him. Even though he left the boat, that did not stop him from traveling. Seeing places like Peru, Costa Rica, Mexico, Georgia, Dubai, and visiting us every now and then. This is us surprising our mum after she hadn't seen Finn for a year and a half.
Hey, Jack.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Next in the group is me, Declan. Being the middle child means I'm the quote-unquote test dummy of the family. That means when we come up with a new game or there's a chore that nobody else wants to do because it has a slight element of danger, I'm there.
Let's go and jump off the second spreader of the mast. Me and Finn.
Declan. Oh, what?
A great example of this is when I had to suck trapped diesel out of a blocked engine. All of these things earned me the nickname Expendable Middle Child. I also love kiting. It's like therapy for all the bad stuff that I get. Well, actually, we all love kiting, including the youngest Kiwi boy, Ivan. Similar to Finn with his rowing, Ivan's sport of choice is sleeping in. He's world class at it. This results in him being a snappy little chihuahua.
Why are you here?
That said, he will get up early to go to the skate park with his friends.
Ow!
Whoa!
He has it so easily.
Scooting is probably the one thing that he loves more than sleeping. So there you go, that's the Kiwi boys. 3 brothers minus 1 living on the world's biggest water park. Every day brings a new adventure for the Kiwi boys.
I was looking through the door and the beach was over that way. And so, yeah, we were dragging fast.
I'm a late go. I'm going to fall.
Or maybe sometimes it doesn't. We just never know. And that's what makes it fun.
Now, I don't know who this family is, if any of you, particularly Kiwis, know them, but what a great promotion. Okay, I know you're all going to make fun of me. I'm into yacht racing and not so much into cruising and sailing, but it covers kiting, it covers everything else. And this is their water park. These kids are having a great time. I don't want to sail around the world. Julia, you've done a lot of big ocean blue water cruising.
Right.
But that between Brooke Wilson, the Aussie girl we just saw, and these kids, and this kid's, a YouTuber. You see here in the credits, he's produced this, written it. You see here at the end, doing a little bit of.
Ready to leave New Zealand. No, how should I say it? Yeah, we sailed around the New Zealand coast for a year.
He's written all this stuff, edited it, and I can tell you firsthand.
Oh no, I left that. Okay. Oh, sorry. No, I did write something else there.
It's not easy. So, bravo Zulu to them. This is the new world of video on YouTube. Yacht clubs, classes. We need to embrace this for our sport and put kids on, racing kids like this Brooke Wilson and so on. So, bravo Zulu. You like that, Julia?
Yes, I think it's wonderful.
Huh?
Yes.
And I don't know how I even came across that. It just popped up on my YouTube feed. I watch YouTube, not television anymore, because there's so much more interesting stuff on there. Let's see if there's any. Graham Sweeney's not amused with adults. That right there is life, Jody Shields is saying. Absolutely, Jody. It's such a shame that youth is wasted on the young.
Yes.
Jonathan Frank. I will be subscribing to Kiwi Boys today, Steve Gruber says. Yeah, I subscribed, in a great family vid, all very talented. I bet he could win a nurse job. I'll bet you could too. This is I don't think it's like Jackass, Steve Gruber. They're not, it's just more entertaining and interesting. And yeah, okay, here I am covering cruising. A little bit.
It's about time.
But, a family.
Yeah.
Having fun on the water.
Yes.
It's inspirational.
Absolutely.
If it is for a 70-year-old fart like me, it's got to be for, right? For everybody.
Yes.
Show
Absolutely.
these videos, right?
Yeah.
Right? I'm sure Bill Wingrove agrees. He will agree. That's it. Finish line. We, of course, have some funnies for you, and I always try to come up with 3 or 5. You don't want to do things in odd and even numbers. But here's here's the first one, Julia. We've been talking about, guess what? The coronation. And I tell you, I just an aside to all the side chicks, no pun intended, there's always hope. Huh?
Yes, and patience.
And patience. Pedro Foiling Sailor sent a video, and it's a guy called Ozzy, O-Z-Z-Y man. He's a guy that takes something like the coronation, takes his 3-minute outtakes from all the official videos, and then voices it. Kind of like that Irish commentator did to the Olympic sailing video that we've all seen and run up. But of course, he dropped so many F-bombs and so many S-bombs and so many, I really can't run it. But in that video, when Prince William goes up and kneels during the coronation ceremony and kneels in front of the king, and he's praising. He's the only family member that does this, but it's symbolic, yada yada, and he's praising fealty and And this guy Ozzy man is saying, now see, he's asking for a Christmas present. He's asking his father for a new yacht. And if I could have just pulled that excerpt out. But thank you, Peter Stevenson, for sending that. This was sent by Clark. To all the side chicks, there's always there's always hope. Now to get on with sailing. There, as requested, we put a reef in the mainsail. Corny, but really good. Thank you, Ed Worley, for sending that one along. And this one, Julie, I thought you'd really appreciate. After 20 years of living on a boat, not that you've lived on a boat, but you've spent plenty of time at sea.
Yep.
It's the only way we can get a good night's sleep. A couple of Danforth anchors into the carpet.
That's always what I think about. Oh my God, I got to get up and check the anchors.
Got to check the anchors, and of course the other part of that is where is the GPS alarm turned on. So if the boat starts to move, the alarm comes on.
That's for the new guys. Us and the old guys didn't have GPS.
Yeah.
Let alone the alarms that worked.
No, but you have, if you're sleeping on a boat that's at anchor, as you know, you have kind of a sixth sense.
Yeah.
If you feel like you're moving.
And in a different direction.
It's like having an earthquake here. I told you, I texted you.
Yeah.
Yesterday afternoon, I'm sitting here in the studio, and that light, which is on a light stand, and I'm preparing the show for today, and the light starts swaying.
Amazing.
And I thought I was losing my mind. Yeah. I thought, geez, I got to change my glasses or something, and or am I having a TIA or something? You know? Well, it was swaying. And about, 10, 15 minutes later, the notification came across that up in Northern California, there was a 5-point-something earthquake.
6. Yeah, and that's a pretty big earthquake. But I didn't feel it.
I didn't feel it either. I'm sitting here in the chair. I'm, focusing on the screen and the slideshow. That thing is weaving and waving. Now I notice in here in the Beach Street Yacht Club, the paintings, even the painting over your shoulder there, that Jonathan Frank painting is crooked. So there's, just a tiny bit of motion.
Yeah.
Okay, I digress. One or two more here. This from Ed Worley as well. It's either another barrel of wine or the unicorns, Noah. There isn't enough room for both, so choose wisely. Okay, they're corny, folks, but at least they're clean. I'm not going to get a finger wag from Julia. Am I?
No.
Now this one I might get a finger wag.
Oh.
Because I'm going to make fun of one of your favorite recent presidents. A ram-a-lam-a ding-dong. Graham Sweeney sent this. Now, you know what that's in reference to. A ram-a-lam-a ding-dong. We started the show out with music today.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
Da, 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 satisfaction. We got to end the show with music. That is the Edsels. Ram-a-lam-a ding-dong. The Edsels from 1958.
Just my era.
And that song. And it's been updated. There's a new song out. I won't play it because it's not polite, but it's called Obama Llama Ding Dong. So I said, I knew
that's good.
You didn't like Trump either. You just liked his policies. Obama Llama Ding Dong. So, see, we can make fun of those of you who think that we are MAGA people here. Well, we are a little bit, at least in terms of the policies, but we are open-minded and we can make fun of anybody, including Julia. ourselves.
Yes.
And you would like to say?
Just if you can make fun of us too, if you like, follow and share.
You can say anything you want. We got thick skin here, and we appreciate very much your support. Comments are welcome too, even in replay, as you all know. Most of you watch it in replay.
And it's fascinating to read the comments. It really is.
You always remind us that as well, to go back.
It's easy just to brush through them. But if you dig into them, they're fun. And after a while of reading them, you know everybody.
Well, that's right. And I think, one of the things I do get criticism about is that, by Fritz Mueller, he's signing off, is that some people, Ozzy Man is cool, Ted Ryman is saying, all these comments that are here, we do get some criticism for doing this back and forth with the Fosey constantly throughout the show. There are people who come on here, they just give us the sailing news, tell us what you think. Don't tell us that Ted Ryman's on in Cape Town and that Sweeney's on up in Yell, Scotland, and so on and so forth. But you know what? I don't care because it's my show. It's our show. We can do what we want, and we like to talk with the Fosey and have the Fosey tell us what they're thinking.
And to clue us in.
And to clue us in as well. You are my sugar touch. Was this the line in the song that almost got it banned when the record was released? Otis, my man. I don't know what. So glad someone else remembers Otis Day and the Nights. Otis Night and the Pips. Once again, a great show. Thank you, Joe Holtzman. Today is the first day of the rest of your life, Jody Shields. We're at Saturday morning down in Oz in Australia. It's our show, Tom. Exactly right. I don't give a stuff. We both woke up this morning. As long as we both wake up, that's right. That's the most important thing. Do support us on Patreon. Become a patron. Patreon.com/join/Sailing Illustrated, if you would, please. Thanks to everybody who let us have media, images, video, and audio for today's show. Julia, any final thoughts?
No, not really. It's about to be creeping into summer.
Well, it's warmed up here a little bit this week. And speaking of this weekend, it is a family, and it is the family of Sailing Illustrated. Mary Longpree is checking in. Right on, Tom.
Hi.
I love how you do your show. Keep up the fun, Paddle. We love the Fosey. We do the show for the Fosey. Right. Have a great weekend, everybody. But if you are in a country that is celebrating Mother's Day, which we do here on Sunday, a lot of countries do, but some of the European countries don't. They do it at different times of the year. If you're celebrating it, and especially if you're a mother, like my mother is, I dedicate this show to her.
Oh, yes, that's a great picture of her.
That's
too.
my mother playing the ukulele last. In fact, that is like a 8-string ukulele. What the hell is that? That is, it's an 8-string ukulele, like a 12-string guitar, dedicated to my beloved mother, Janice Davis, and to sailing moms, to mothers everywhere. Even Jody Shields, I think, is a mother. Some people would think. Some people probably think I am too. Hey, everybody, have a great rest of your weekend, wherever in the world you are. Go sailing. Go sailing. And we'll see you on Tuesday. In the meantime, of course, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.